Hello and welcome to Deciphering Your Body's Clues so you can heal. This is the, of course, livecast, live stream podcast where I help you to be able to translate the messages behind any pain and disease and get yourself on the path to healing. I absolutely love being able to help people doing the work that I do. So please do feel free if you are in the if you're watching on Facebook or are watching on YouTube and you do have a question, please feel free to reach out and jump onto the Zoom. Just look at the instructions under the video and you can do that. So today I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about, and I always feel bad that I say I'm excited about disease. I'm not. I don't want anybody to be in pain and disease. And if I could wave a magic wand and make every bit of pain and suffering in this world, and trust me that I would. But what I am excited about is that I got a great question about someone who's dealing with sort of a resurgence of really raging asthma that she had as a childhood, or as a child in childhood, I should say, and that she now needs some help figuring out, why is this coming back? Why is this surging back? And in fact, what we were able to get to the bottom line of is actually, why did it show up originally in childhood? Now, when saying all of that, this does not mean that there is anything, when I talk about, your mind-body connection, or that these underlying issues and things that are going in your life can cause various diseases and pains to manifest, that in no way means that you are responsible for or at fault for any pain or disease that you are dealing with. And you are not at fault or doing anything wrong if you're not healing right this instant. So what I give you is the ability to understand that underlying message, connect the mind, body, and life, and be able to start to shift that. But what we're talking about when we're talking about these things are things that are happening at a very unconscious level. And unconscious literally means you're not conscious of it. So if you're not conscious of it, how can it be your fault? This is something that unfortunately I see a lot in the mind-body healing communities, in the holistic healing communities. People feel, I see people that are sort of leaders or thought leaders in this community that are making people feel, when they are not healing using their methods or their methodology, that person's just not listening enough, not working hard enough, not doing this, not doing that. None of that is true. It's absolutely not true. And I just feel like it's important to speak out against the fact, or anyone who's saying that people that they're working with, it's their fault because they're not healing. Now, it is very true that I cannot do the work for you. I can translate the message, I can translate what's going on, and I can even give you a very bespoke action plan, a very customized action plan to you. But of course, if you don't do the work yourself, if you don't do the hard healing work, which can be challenging and very difficult, because many times these things have really intense roots, oftentimes all the way from childhood. If you don't face those things, if you don't do that healing work that I give you, then I can't. I don't have a magic wand to shift it. I can't do that. So in that way, certainly that is your responsibility. But please, if you ever are working with someone who is telling you that somehow are making you feel shameful, or that it's somehow your fault that you're dealing with pain or disease, or somehow your fault that you're not healing in the way they thought you should be healing, get rid of that person immediately and move on to someone else. Always listen to your gut with that. So in saying that, I want to also open today with major thoughts and concerns for the people of Ukraine. I know that many of you in my that follow me and that are in my field are empaths. I specialize in working with empaths in particular. And so I know how much you want to help, and you would love to have a magic wand or be able to fly over there and help. And how difficult it is, how heavy it is that you are feeling all of the destruction and difficulty and sadness and pain and suffering and all those things that we as empaths pick up, and that we can't really do anything about being able to shift. We can, but we can't do the physical things that we'd like to do. So please, if one of the things that you'd like to do is something that is positive in reaction to what's going on, if you go to my personal Facebook page, I've done a couple of posts about excellent charities and organizations in the Ukraine that you can, or in Ukraine, that you can donate to. So please feel free to do that. In addition, I'm going to be releasing, and I'm very excited about this 5-day challenge for empaths that will help you to be able to take control of your empathic ability, to be able to create a powerful life, and also to be able to take those kinds of actions to be able to help pain and suffering in yourself, in others, and in the world without being depleted. So if you're interested in that, you can always go and take my empath test on my site, tarameyer-robson.com/empath-test. And when you do that, you can also sign up to make sure that you don't miss that opportunity to be part of that challenge. It's going to be life-changing, and I'm very excited about it. So today, as I say, we're going to be talking about asthma. Before we do that, I should have grabbed my book. So as always, I am doing sort of a quick thing. This is my book, The Flow Method, 40 Days to Total Life Transformation. This can actually help you pinpoint any underlying beliefs you have that are, as I call them, out of the flow, tuning you into pain, negative experiences, and difficulties, and situations where you have obstacles and you can't change, and those kinds of things, all in here. But for today, let's check out what the inspiration of the day is. And I'm just going to flip through and stop. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, well, that's an interesting one. Okay, that's an interesting one, because I think a lot of us are probably feeling a lot of anger about what's going on in the world today. And bringing our awareness to our emotions always brings power to our life. So here is actually, it's talking about, this is in what I call station 4. Station 4 is actually, interestingly, exactly what we're going to be talking about today with the lungs and the asthma. Station 4 deals with your lungs, your shoulders, your heart, your circulatory system, your rib cage, and even your arms, hands, and fingers are all station 4. And it all deals with your emotional connection to life. And so I've opened it up today to a couple of things that I think are probably pretty critical. It says, you can't avoid anger. It will bubble to the surface one way or the other. And that's true. A lot of us have been taught that anger is a negative emotion. And certainly it's a difficult emotion. There's no two ways about it. I've certainly been feeling angry. We all feel angry about things sometimes. There's injustices in the world that we're going to feel angry about. There's things that happen to us personally that we feel angry about. That doesn't actually make it a negative emotion. Anger can be one of our greatest teachers if we allow it to be. So what I like to say is anger is a really positive emotion as long as you know how to express it positively and use it as a force for change. So what do I mean by that? So when you're dealing with anger, you could feel anger. Let's say you're in a really rough job, like a really bad job, toxic boss, should not be there, feeling like you're depleted all the time. You start to feel a lot of anger about it, right? And it can start to increase your blood pressure, cause shallow breathing issues or other lung issues, even issues like asthma, major pain in the shoulders. All of that anger can show up in all of those areas very specifically. So let's say you start getting some of those physical issues as well, starting to feel really broken down, really heavy, really burdened. So you can express that. You can deny the anger, as many of us have been taught to do, especially women. Oh no, you're not angry, just push it down. But you can push it down all you want. It's going to come out, and it will come out in those physical issues. Or it will come out in a road rage incident or a rage incident where you just lose it, and you lose it for no reason, or you lose it on someone that doesn't deserve for you to lose it on, like a friend or a family member, or God forbid, a child. And so that anger, when you push it down, is still there. You can believe it's a negative emotion all you want. You can try to deny it. It's still there. It's going to bubble to the surface, as that quote just said, in one way or another. So it's either going to bubble up in the pain and disease, or it's going to bubble up in sort of an emotional outburst. But instead, you do have a choice. When you feel the anger, instead, you can say to yourself, okay, I'm feeling a ton of anger in this situation. You can bring awareness to the anger. And then at that point, you can say, okay, how could I positively express this anger? Because the fact you have anger, you still need to get it out of your body one way or another. When you get it out of your body, you can clear a lot of that first, visceral emotional response to it. And you can think more clearly on how to use that anger as a catalyst to change. So a lot of times I recommend to people to finding positive ways to get the anger out. So you can get in your car, close the windows, hide in your car, and scream at the top of your lungs, right? What does that do? It gets that emotional response. It gets what you want to do to someone or something out of your body. You'd be amazed. I actually have taught my little daughter how to do this, and you'd be amazed. Just that one thing, she comes back out of the car, okay, I'm fine. when she's frustrated or whatever. And it's like a huge thing. So I would recommend that one. Another one is, go to a kickboxing class, do a kickboxing workout at home, punch some pillows. That's another thing I taught my little 5-year-old to do. Punch some pillows. You've got to get it out of your body. Go take a hard bike ride, or do a really hard exercise workout. Do something, and you can dedicate that workout, and I highly recommend you do, to whatever you're angry at. So like, you're getting it out. I'm focusing on getting it out of my body right now. Then once that's done, now you're in a calmer state where you can sit down and you can go to a quiet place, or some place where you feel really supported and good. I personally love nature. I go to like our botanical gardens a lot when I need to like kind of clear my head. Find a space like that for you. And then take a moment and really think through, okay, I'm feeling really angry, and this anger is really unhealthy for me. It's trying to tell me that something's really off about the situation, because really all anger is that your boundaries aren't being respected, and that there's, you're feeling literally like something is just coming at you or attacking you. And that's something important to pay attention to. That means there's a change needed, right? So take a minute and go, okay, what change should I do? Maybe it's leaving your job. So take yourself down that path. Well, if I leave the job, what do I need to do to be able to leave the job? Or if this relationship is breaking me down and I'm angry all the time, you maybe have a personal relationship in your life, whether it is a partner, a spouse, a friend, a family member, that you're constantly feeling angry and reacting in angry ways to. So now you've got to ask yourself, is there something that I can change in this relationship? Or is this a relationship that I need to let go or set better boundaries with? And as you see, you can take this anger and make it into something that's positive, that's a positive catalyst for change. You can get to a better job. You can get into a better relationship. You can change things in your life so you're not reacting in the ways that you're reacting. You can change the things that are making you angry. Okay, so that's the power. There's a really good retuning statement. So in the book, depending on which station is out of the flow that you find out, through the flow factor test, you'll get specific affirmations that I call retuning statements. The reason I call them retuning statements is they literally are designed to specifically hit whichever underlying belief you have, cancel that out, and start shifting things for you. And in this case, this one is, I allow myself to feel sadness, grief, and all emotions fully. So that's your retuning statement or affirmation for today, which is a great one. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to check on, check on Facebook Live to see if I have, oops, how do I do that? Let's see, check on Facebook Live to see if I've got any questions going on here. Okay, I don't see any right now. So we're going to go on and move on to the question that I got that's excellent, came in from a viewer. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Hi, Tara. I caught your last live stream and I can't attend the next one live, so I figured I'd ask a question via email. I've had severe asthma since I was a child. It started when I was around 7 years old, and it got much worse until I left home at 18. It got almost magically better when I got to college, but I would notice when I went back home, it got worse again. Then I would head back to college and it was better. So this is a lot of really good information. And for those of you that have followed me, or you're in my body language, Deciphering Your Body's Clues So You Can Heal program, you're going to already right off the bat start recognizing some things that are clear patterns and triggers that the body is trying to give her some signs about. So we're already seeing some of these things. And the more that you, as I say, it's a lot like learning a foreign language. As soon as you actually understand what the body's trying to tell you, understand the language, you can start to get these things really fast. So next she says, I headed out on my own after college, and it's not been a problem until recently. I recently took a job that I love, but there are definitely aspects that are difficult. I started having more trouble with asthma again, and I can't figure out exactly why or what's triggering it. Any insight as to what might be going on? Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick coffee. Okay. So let's take a look at this. So we've just talked a second ago about that the lungs themselves are in station 4. Now, station 4 deals with our emotional connection to life of every kind, whether it's a healthy and flowing connection to our emotions, or whether it is a sort of an unhealthy relationship with our emotions, where we, sort of try to hold back on emotions like anger or sadness, those that we deem negative, and we don't let them flow, or fear or sadness, or any of those, jealousy, any of those emotions, or whether we're doing sort of that process I just talked about being able to bring our awareness to those emotions, express them in positive ways, and then navigate our life choices a little bit better based on the emotions we're feeling. So that's what the lungs signify. So also from a spiritual perspective, from a mind-body perspective, the lungs also, we need to think about, what do the lungs do for us, right? We take in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. So it's literally, for me, whenever I see somebody dealing with something with the lungs, I immediately wonder where are they not feeling like they are allowed or worthy of breathing in life fully? What's going on that's causing that? And depending on how that's showing up, and in this case, asthma, which is a constriction disease, that's going to tell us a lot about exactly what's going on with it. So as I just said, then we want to take a look at what's asthma, right? So asthma, it's a constriction, a tightening of like all the little bronchial, oh my gosh, I can't think of the name of it, but all the little branches of bronchi, anyways, in our body or in our lungs that, allow the air to kind of go in and out, right? There's this constriction. And so we can't breathe in fully. So immediately I'm asking, where is she? Why was she feeling like she couldn't breathe in fully? What was going on? Why was she tightening? And whenever I deal with constriction or tightening, that always means a fear response, or in this case, in asthma in particular, it can be a response of actually like trying to constrict in and not take up so much space. So that's going to be a clue to what I believe, well, I actually know because she and I went back and forth on email, is going on. So right off the bat, when we're looking at that, like with this constriction, we're looking at something that's making her fearful or feeling like she's got to kind of, in this case, because of the way that the lungs constrict in and they can't expand, they're staying in this constricted state. There's something about like not taking up much space, feeling like she's got to constrict some aspects of herself that for some reason, right? So she says it started when she was around 7 years old. So right off the bat, I'm wondering right off at 7, what was happening that was causing her to feel like she was constricted, like she was being smothered. Oftentimes when I see asthma, it can be like a smother mother, which that is a term that Louise Hay came up with. And I actually very much agree with her on that one. It can be a smother mother and this sort of feeling that you're being constricted in expressing your full self, but it can be a smother father too. It can be parents in general. It can be authority figures as well. But generally speaking, when it's something like this, it's childhood, there's something going on that there's a real constriction. And she said it got much worse until she left home at 18. So I happened to be able to go back and forth with her a little bit on this. Well, we'll go forward for a second. So she says it got almost magically better when she got to college, right? So right off the bat, what's that telling us? That definitely whatever was going on, there was a constriction, was in the home or in her home area. It could have been something really, it could be something like bullying at school that can show up as asthma, excuse me, but it can show up as asthma for sure. But that can show up, it shows up a lot more as like stomach issues because it's a hit against who you are as a person. It's like breaking your individual identity down, but it can show up as both. It can show up in asthma, but my gut is still like, okay, what was going on in the home or with her parents from 7 to 18? So it got magically better when she went to college, but she noticed, and this is key, when she went back home, it got worse again. So right off the bat, I talk a lot about triggers, and triggers are really just that there is a certain frequency of experience that when you encounter that frequency of experience, your mind recognizes it and it literally tunes you into a repeat, in this case, reaction in your body. Okay. So triggers can be very pervasive. We all have triggers. We've all had traumas or difficulties or things in our life that got programmed into our minds. And when we encounter something else that's of a similar frequency, it causes the body to react in the exact same way as it reacted back in that original, when the trigger was originally set. Okay, it's a very automatic thing. Your mind recognizes it, your whole body reacts to it. It's very unconscious. You're not aware of it. So right off the bat, I know there's a trigger going on with when she goes home, there's a frequency there that her mind is going, oh boy, here we are again. We're constricting, we're shrinking, there's a fear and we can't breathe fully. We can't fully breathe in who we are, and we aren't allowed to fully breathe in life. Okay, that's what's going on there. And she says when she would head back to college, it was much better. So that tells me right off the bat, definitely trigger at home. So she headed out on her own after college. It's not been a problem until recently. She recently took a job. She says, I recently took a job that I love, but there are definitely aspects that are difficult. I started having more trouble with asthma again, and I can't figure out exactly why or what's triggering it. So to summarize, so she takes this job after college, everything's cool. And then all of a sudden, she starts having this trigger response that is similar to the response she had when she was younger. So right off the bat, I'm wondering, because again, that trigger is going to be something that is of the same frequency as what she was experiencing as a child. So the first thing we have to decipher is what was going on when she was a child that was making her feel like she wasn't allowed to breathe in fully, and she was having to contract herself or hide herself down. And so she and I did go back and forth on email when this came in, and I told her all of this, and I'm like, did you have really overbearing parents that were kind of trying to tell you that you couldn't be who you truly felt that you were intended to be? And indeed she did. She grew up in a very, 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 very religious family, a very strict family. And they basically believed a lot of things about who she was, and the kind of person she wanted to be, the kind of person she knew she was inside. And they believed those were wrong or sinful or bad or, against God, those kinds of things. Very, very, very restrictive. And so she was literally in a church, and she said oftentimes, it was interesting because she said, I said, well, did you have attacks more at your house? Did you sometimes have attacks at church? And she would have asthma attacks right before she had to go to church. So that was literally her body's way of also kind of trying to get her out of a really restrictive situation that wasn't in alignment with who she is. I see this a lot. You might not be, but maybe would be surprised at how much difficulty and physical trauma certain religious situations can cause to people. Because when you're told that you're doing something against God, who's the ultimate authority and is the guy in the sky that's judging you, and you're told that something about you is inherently wrong or bad, and that you're basically, going to hell or whatever the equivalent is in all different religions, that's pretty intense. That's pretty intense. You're not allowed to question it either, because if you question it, you're also a bad person. That's really intense. And in her case, she was told, she should have blind faith that what they were telling her was right, but inside her heart and soul, for her, it wasn't in alignment, wasn't right, and it was literally breaking herself down. So she was literally shrinking herself down as well she was afraid. I mean, there was a real fear here, and like revealing who she really was actually going to be something that would cause her to get thrown out of the church, which would cause her parents all kinds of issues, and et cetera, et cetera. And so her parents were bearing down, literally bearing down on her. So she couldn't fully breathe in. She wasn't worthy of taking in life as who she was. Now, so that was the issue in childhood that was going on, that was causing her to have those issues. She went off to college, and she was so much happier, and she was freer, and she was allowed to be who she really is without that sort of overbearing aspect. She went to a giant public university, and suddenly she could breathe freely. She could take classes she wanted to take. She could have the friends she wanted to have. She could do the things she wanted to do, and nobody was there bearing down on her. And then she would go home after college, and what did she have again? That original trigger of grip, fear, don't be who you really are, don't breathe it in fully. That's it, right? Shrink down, grip. So that's where the trigger was set. So really quickly, I was like, okay, so what in the current job situation is the same frequency? Because there's going to be a same frequency. So sure enough, her boss, who she likes a lot, is a very strict, very religious person, and it's causing her some stress. She's having a trigger of like an authority figure, right? Or authority figure that's over her, that's determining some things about her life that are now causing her to have that exact same. She's literally just found a situation where she has that exact same trigger. right? Very reasonably, it is very deeply ingrained. As I say, anything that has to do with like religion and religious authority is like so deeply ingrained in people for a whole host of reasons. So in her case, one of the things we need to, and we've gone back and forth on email, is to reassociate that trigger. And if she can't, to find a different job. Because unfortunately, if that's the thing she's going to be encountering every single day, with a person like that that's going to be triggering this asthma every single day, that's not a tenable situation. That is not a situation she can go forward on. She's going to start having asthma attacks to avoid work or avoid meeting with her boss. And in fact, she started to have worse asthma. We were able to like pinpoint it down to, she was having worse asthma when she knew she had to meet with her boss individually in a one-on-one meeting. Makes total sense, right? And this is why I talk all the time about how literal the body is in trying to send you a message. This is a problem. This is not good for you. This is not expansive. This is not helping you thrive. This is not helping you survive. This is bad. The body is literally trying to wave a red flag. This is not a good situation, okay? So this is how literal. She's literally shrinking herself down, hiding who she really is, and feeling like she could possibly be attacked or something really bad can happen to her if she is truly who she is. She breathes in life fully and expresses herself fully as who she is in this situation. So I hope this one was super helpful for you, or this episode was super helpful for you. As always, I absolutely am passionate about the work that I do. So please feel free, reach out to me via email, or please, if you want some really awesome, intense help, bespoke help, really customized help for you, check out the Body Language, Deciphering Your Body's Clues So You Can Heal program that I created. In there, you will literally have every possible tool to be able to translate any message of anything that's going on with you, and then be taken through your own personalized healing action plan, or developing your own personalized healing action plan that works for you in exactly the way you need and in exactly the way that you learn best. We all have certain learning styles. And so what I've created is a way for you to design exercises that help you to retune your mind in the fastest ways. And it's not just about body issues. It's also, or pain and disease that's going on. It's also going to teach you, how do you break negative patterns of experiences? Like this woman, she believed in her unconscious mind that she kind of had to seek out a similar authority as her parents. She didn't mean to, she didn't want to, but she ended up pulling in an experience of a boss that was very identical to her parents in many, many, many ways. And so one of the things that you can do with the program or the flow method is to be able to retune those specific beliefs, to shift them really powerfully, really quickly within 40 days, and start seeing massive changes in your life. You'll stop pulling in those same patterns again and again. I'm really proud of the work that I do. I love being able to help people every single day. So if you want to jump in and check that out, go to tarameyer-robson.com/body language, and I'll put the link under the videos as well. So jump in. We have a great community of people. You also, within that, you also have options of individual help, 20-minute sessions with me where I can privately translate what's going on for you and help you with an healing action plan, and twice a month live calls that you can get on, and we deal with all kinds of different topics. I take live calls within that sort of more individualized situation as well, even a group call, but a smaller group call where you can ask questions to me in a smaller venue. Thank you so much for being here. Again, please consider donating to causes in the Ukraine. They need every bit of help we can get. In the meantime, take extra good care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and focus on what's really important in life right now. We all need the peace and healing. If you happen to meditate or pray, please send out meditations of love, peace, healing, and protection for the Ukrainian people and for all people suffering in the world. See you again next time. Thank you so much for being here.